It's now my pleasure to go ahead and introduce you to a couple of tonight's guests. We have Erica Cox. She's the director of our Academic Support and Learning Differences Office. We have Lori Krause, who is the director of Academic Engagement. We have Brad McGarry, who is the director of the AIM program. And we have Andrea Obert, who's the coordinator of our Learning Differences department on campus. It's now my pleasure to go ahead and introduce Erica, and she'll tell you a little bit about her department on campus. Erica?
Thanks, Andrea. Hi, everyone, and welcome. We're excited to see all of you here and excited to share about what we do here at Mercyhurst. So as Andrea mentioned, my name is Erica Cox, and I'm the Director of Academic Support and Learning Differences. I've been at Mercyhurst for 10 years now. I'd like to give a little bit of an overview. Lori, Andrea, Obert, and I kind of report to a unit under the Provost Office called Academic Services and Support. And basically, our whole unit is there to provide various academic resources to our students on campus and, virtually now too. So we have our office, Academic Support. We also have the Career Development Center, our Learning Differences and Academic Accommodations, prestigious awards, testing center, tutoring center, our university honors program, and our writing center. This allows us to provide a lot of one-stop shopping for our students at Mercyhurst and get them connected to various interventions and resources. Our office, Academic Support, well, there's all of us. We like to show our pictures. So we've got full-time professional academic counselors on board. Andrea Obert, our Learning Differences Coordinator, Matt Stowey, our Student Success Coordinator, and then you can see the 4 academic counselors, and then Doug Gifford, he's the Director of Academic Success, who primarily supports our associate degree seeking students. We support students all the way from the associate degree level to the graduate level. Our office and academic support, the best way for me to describe it is we are like our advising center on campus. Mercyhurst offers a really unique dual advising system. What this means is that every student at Mercyhurst has a faculty advisor within their major or academic program and an academic counselor with our office or with the Autism Initiative. That way you have 2 people supporting you the entire time you're at Mercyhurst. We're able, I think the best way to describe us is we're generalist. We know a little bit about everything and a little bit about all the various academic programs and policies and procedures on campus. So we really provide a lot of that general information for our students, but we can also help implement different and various academic success strategies, navigating college. If students are interested in, utilizing peer tutors, Lori's going to talk a little bit about this, but we're happy to be the middle person and get them connected. Understanding our REACH curriculum. Our REACH curriculum is our general education requirements, and sometimes students can get a little confused on how many requirements they have to take out of each bin and what the different prefixes mean. That's really one of our areas of expertise. We're also there to help any students with any kind of academic performance concerns, whether they had a bad semester and want to do better the next semester, or they're just struggling in one class and not sure what to do. And then, as always, we kind of are happy to pass students off to another resource. We don't, oftentimes, if we don't have the answer, we're going to help the students help them find the person that's going to be able to give them the answer, at least guide them appropriately. So we're happy to be that go-between for students. So some of the other specific programs that our office offers is we have a fee-based academic, structured academic coaching program called the Academic Advantage Program. It is open to any student who wishes to participate. It is a structured program to help students transition to college and kind of develop some of those academic success strategies, as well as we work with our career development team to do a little bit of career readiness as well. An academic counselor would meet with a student very early on within the start of the semester to create some sort of academic plan and get to know the student and what their needs are. We really recognize that there are no 2 students that are alike, and it's impossible to have a cookie cutter program to support them academically. So it's important for us to really know what the student needs. Some of our students who participate in the program need some assistance with executive functioning. So managing their time, creating to-do lists, keeping up on their planner. Others struggle with like maybe how to approach a lot of the college level reading or writing. It just really depends. And so we try to make it suit the student as best as we can. The other program out of our office is our Exploratory Studies program. This program is geared towards students who are still trying to find the right major, also known as undeclared. We have about 100 students every year who come in as undeclared, and honestly, we couldn't be more excited about it. Again, our purpose is we want to meet with that student at least 3 times in their first semester at Mercyhurst to really get to know them, what their skills and interests are, to help them also learn about all the different majors and academic programs Mercyhurst has to offer before they dive in and commit to just one. Our last program that we collaborate with Academic Engagement and Andrea Obert with Learning Differences is our Pathways to Academic Success. For students, that's our PASS program. It's another fee-based program. It is a pre-college program or a bridge program that typically starts the 3 weeks prior to new student move-in. However, this year due to COVID, we had to get creative and do things a little bit differently. And so we created a virtual experience. Usually we have our students enroll in a 3-credit course that will fulfill their REACH requirements and then also allows them to reduce their course load in the fall. This year we weren't able to do that. We're still working on figuring out what this next summer will look like, but either way, we promise to provide all the same different academic support programs that we typically would provide in this program. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Lori and Andrea, and they can talk a little bit more about learning differences and accommodations at Mercyhurst.
Thank you, Erica. Hi, welcome everybody. It's really nice to see all the fresh faces tonight. We're just gearing up for our spring semester, so we're just really engaged and happy to see all these fun new faces. My role here on campus as the Director of Academic Engagement actually constitutes a few different areas. I oversee our tutoring center, which Erica mentioned before as one of those free academic services and supports that we offer at Mercyhurst to all students, as well as our testing center. And I'm just going to talk briefly about my role in those 2 areas, along with my role in our academic accommodation process before I turn it over to my resident expert, Andrea Obert, our Learning Differences Coordinator. So with the academic support services and support area at Mercyhurst, we have a tutoring center along with the other services that Erica mentioned before. And the neat thing about our tutoring services is it's free. So students can come who may be struggling with a course or who are really just looking to even do better than they already are. You can be connected with a peer who's already taken the class and likely with the same professor. So they know what you're looking for as far as, you know, some kind of unspoken requirements that don't always make it into the rubric or the assignment guidelines. And in doing so, you have an opportunity to interact with a peer who's taken the class, get the extra support that you need, and then help you along your path in that class. We offer tutoring in almost all of our like 100 and 200 level REACH classes. And then we do start to look a little more into the upper level classes on a case-by-case basis, especially like your 300 and 400 level major courses. Those tend to be a little more slim pickings, but starting you off in your first year to even 3 years at Mercyhurst, we've got quite an offering of extra support for you. It's a simple online reservation system to book the appointments, look for availability, book appointments. And so it's really seamless. We have virtual tutoring this year because of COVID, and we're really hoping to continue that offering even when we can be back in person again. It just seems like a nice complement to our existing services. And then the other main area that I'm overseeing is our testing center. And so the testing center comes into play primarily for students who are eligible for academic accommodations like extended testing time, alternative testing locations, sometimes a scribe. Again, like our tutoring center, we are hosting virtual testing appointments this year. But in general, the testing center is open to all students on campus. So even if you're a student athlete, you miss a class for an illness, or what be it, you're able to make up the exam, we could proctor that for you through the testing center so that you're getting a nice, quiet and appropriate testing environment. We run all of our accommodations through our accommodation software. So when students come to Mercyhurst, if you're eligible for academic accommodations, and I'll leave Andrea to talk a little bit more of the specifics, but once everything's approved and set in our system, we rely on our online accommodation software, and it allows us to help you verify your accommodations each semester, your academic accommodations, as well as request note takers for classes and have those notes uploaded for your class right into the software. So again, a nice convenient place for you to get the resources that you need. And then hopefully with our fall semester, we'll be able to expand the use of our accommodation software and roll into our testing center to have online scheduling for our testing center in the fall. So that synopsizes everything I do in my two areas. I want to turn it over to Andrea to talk, like I said, a little more in detail about the specifics, and she can certainly cover the testing accommodations piece as well. So thank you.
Thanks, Lori. Hi, everybody. I'm Andrea, the other Andrea here in this room, but I am the Learning Differences Coordinator, and my main job is to basically help students who need accommodations get set up with them, take them through the request process, and also help you utilize, orient you to all the accommodations, how they work, and how you can best use them in the college environment. So to begin, we do have a software, like Lori said. We have an application. Once a student has been accepted to Mercyhurst and they confirm they're going to be coming here to Mercyhurst, they can fill out our accommodation request form online, which asks you a series of questions about your diagnosis, a little bit about what kind of accommodations you received at the high school level or what you're actually looking for, because sometimes we have students who didn't receive accommodations in high school but are looking at them for the college level. So it goes through a number of those different things. And then we ask that you provide us some sort of documentation to support that. And that documentation can look like a lot of different things. It can look like a very well-detailed IEP, individual education plan, or a Section 504 plan. We also really like to receive neuropsychological evaluations from families, because that's very well detailed and comprehensive information that helps us to better figure out what will work best for you at the college level. So it's always important to remember that we do have a lot of great accommodations that we provide here, but we might not provide all the ones that you received in high school. So we're looking at what's going to work for you, what's going to be reasonable, and what's going to help you be successful here at Mercyhurst. So to look at some of the specific accommodations here, we have a number of testing accommodations, like Lori said. We have alternative testing location. We have a testing center in the library. This is a place where a lot of students will use their extended test time. And also if they need to utilize a computer for their exam or any sort of assistive technology. We do have an assistive technology called Kurzweil 3000 right now, and it's a text-to-speech type of technology that allows students to hear books read aloud to them, exams read aloud to them, or whatever they might need. This alternative testing location is small group testing, and it's very distraction-free. We have qualified proctors that proctor the exams. So that's a little bit about the testing center. A couple other things I told you about the Kurzweil reader. And we also have students who receive supplemental notes to help them with their college courses, whether it's hard to pay attention and get all the stuff down from class, or it's just hard to process that. We provide note taking, which thanks to the software, it makes it very easy for students to access that. We also have students who use a laptop during class, and also use of calculator is another common one. We have a number of other accommodations that we provide students, but these are maybe the most used that we see here at the college level. So that's kind of an overview of that. Just always remember, we have to make sure before we would review any of your accommodation requests, we have to just make sure that you've been accepted to Mercyhurst and that you've actually also confirmed that you are coming here. And then we have an ADA committee made up of a number of professionals from campus who review your requests and look at your documentation and figure out what's best and what's most reasonable for you here at Mercyhurst. So that's kind of how the accommodations works. Once you would get that granted, I would help orient you on how to use the accommodation software and how to utilize your accommodations. So that's my job in a nutshell.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Andrea. I appreciate that. Also, I appreciate the information Lori and Erica shared. We're now going to go ahead and transition a little bit, and I'll introduce Brad McGarry, and he can go ahead and talk to us a little bit about the AIM program members here. Brad?
Excellent. Well, I apologize. I think I'm having some technical difficulties. Can you all hear me okay?
We sure can.
Excellent, good. Well, thank you all for joining us tonight. I'll give a brief overview of the AIM program. I had two other staff members that were going to join me, and they're actually in a virtual training on the West Coast that goes till 9 o'clock tonight, so they're not able to make it, but I'll try to fill in and fill their shoes. So a brief overview of the AIM program. We started back in 2008 with 7 students in a pilot. We currently have 70 students enrolled in the year-round program and 34 students in the CREATE program. We have 7 full-time staff members in the program, as well as 3 Res Life staff members that live in our standardized housing for our AIM students. One thing, just as Andrea just stated, we have a separate admission process for applicants. Individuals have to be accepted to Mercyhurst University to be considered for the AIM program. Students do not have to have that acceptance status for CREATE, so they can continue on whether they're attending Mercyhurst or not for our college readiness experience. So our college readiness experience is called CREATE. It's one of the top college readiness programs in the country for individuals on the autism spectrum. It's a 22-day program, typically in the month of July. We offer, very similar to PASS, a 3-credit college course. We have a College 101 curriculum that helps folks understand academic offices and personnel on a college campus. We offer a navigation curriculum to get people acclimated to higher education institutions and how to get themselves around there. And then we also offer social skills training and some social opportunities in that program for students to move forward and transition into college in a positive light. So that's a brief overview of CREATE. The year-round program, well, let me go back if you don't mind. For CREATE, we have 34 participants in that program. We typically hire on about 30 staff. So that summer experience is staff intensive on purpose. All of the staff live right there with the participants in the program, and we kind of create a little social community during that experience that many of the students benefit from. In our year-round program, as I said, we have 7 full-time staff. We have 70 students. We have a lot of additional support staff with peer mentors and autism support networking staff and other supplemental staff that kind of help and support our programming and what we do. So as you can see from the slide, we focus on what we call the ACE domains. We focus very heavily on, obviously, academics. We connect in with all the ladies that you just heard from. They do what they do quite well, and we don't reinvent the wheel. So when we have accommodation issues, we go through those appropriate offices and offering academic support. The AIM program does offer some academic supports above and beyond what the rest of the institution has that's specific to our autism students and fill some of the gaps that support some of our students in a much needed way. As I said, we have optional AIM housing. The majority of our students tend to select that option. That we have a trained residential staff member in each of the 3 buildings that we manage. Lots of the students like the community aspect of that. Many of the students there have their own bedroom, which is another selling point for that housing option. They share an apartment with a roommate, so they share a bathroom, a living room, and kitchen, but they get their own individualized room for some of that independence and free time that they need. Obviously, in any autism support, we do a lot of social activities on and off campus. So we have some that are scheduled. We have some that we collaborate with the activities that are already happening on campus. And we create a little social community for our students, but also get them out into the standard social activities on the college campus and out in the community. We also offer some emotional supports to help with the rigors of transition to college and some of those things. And then I think the area where we're most proud is in the vocational training that we do. We do a lot of fantastic work. Colleen Sullivan is our career path coordinator. We're one of the only schools in the country that has a full-time position dedicated to vocational training and vocational opportunities for individuals on the autism spectrum. And we've connected in with some major corporations and entities across the country where we offer our students a lot of great resources and opportunities. Some of you may have seen recently, we just released that the Autism Initiative is partnered up with one of the top 4 accounting firms in the world, PricewaterhouseCoopers, to establish a specialized autism cybersecurity cohort that connects our students in with a pipeline into cybersecurity positions in their world. So there's a lot of on and off campus things that we do. Some of you have heard about our vocational exposure experiences where we take students off campus to New York City, to Washington. We also have other adventures that have taken students around the world to advocate for autism, to educate folks, and to experience the world. So that's a quick overview of AIM, but that's kind of what we do and how we do it. If anybody has any specific questions, I'd be happy to answer, but I can kind of leave it at that if that works.
Andrea, you are muted.
Andrew, you're muted.
Man, sorry guys, a virtual got me tonight. It's my pleasure to also go ahead and introduce our current students who we have with us tonight. We have Bella Lee, and we also have Doug Wilsh with us. Bella, do you mind introducing yourself first?
Hi, I'm Isabella Lee. I am a sophomore history major with a concentration in public history and museum studies, and I am from Laurel, Maryland.
And Doug, do you mind introducing yourself?
Yes, hi, my name is Douglas Welch. I am a dual major. First major is intelligence studies. Second major is in international relations. And my, of course, hometown is Rochester, New York, and I'm a junior.
Awesome, thank you so much. So now everybody that is with us today, prospective students and our families, have heard from all of our speakers and have also been introduced to 2 of our current students. So again, I can't emphasize enough that this session is for you. Please feel free to start engaging in the chat. I'll go ahead and pose a couple of our initial questions to our speakers, but then again, I can assure you that they would much prefer to hear from you than me. So please don't be shy with your questions. I'm first going to go ahead and ask Bella and Douglas a question. Bella and Douglas, why did you ultimately choose to enroll at Mercyhurst? Bella, do you mind starting?
Sure, there were a bunch of schools that I was looking at, some in Texas, some in Maryland, some here. But what really drew my family and I here was the AIM program. We saw that how close-knit this AIM program is, how much they appeal to the needs of students on the spectrum, such as myself. And we had looked at many other schools around the country, and then we all determined that just no other school offered what AIM offered. And in addition to that, I initially came here for the marching band, and I also came here for the history program, and those were all close-knit communities of their own sort. So that's really what drew me here, was that family feel community that the school has.
Thanks, Bella, I appreciate it. And what about you, Doug?
I would agree with Bella. I'm on the same track. For me, it was the LD program. Coming from a school where I had speech language-based disabilities, and I really loved how integrated the LD program was on campus. I got to talk to a couple of professors and my Intel program, which was the other big reason for me being here. So seeing how willing they're all working together, all on the same page. You would ask a professor like, oh, of course, we love working with the LD program, and all of the variety of helps I can get on campus, from writing, tutoring to independent testing. Those are the biggest selling points for me.
Excellent. And Doug, did you know that you were actually going to have 2 majors coming to Mercyhurst, or did you stumble into that second one once you got here?
For me, it was a bit of a stumble in. I always had my heart set on the Intel program. I thought, a minor along the way. When I started out, in your guys' shoes, seniors going into college, I really didn't think I was possible to get a double major in my shoes. But, coming to Mercyhurst, it was made possible. So I started out with a major in IR, and then it, grew into a double major because I realized I could do it.
Awesome. And do you still plan to graduate within 4 years?
Yes, I could even graduate early, but I chose 4 years.
Awesome. Good for you. Andrea, one of the questions I was wondering if you could maybe talk a little bit is, do students have to use services for all of their courses, or can they pick and choose when they wanted to utilize certain services?
Yeah, that's kind of the different thing here when you jump from high school to college is at the college level, you get to choose those things. You get to decide. I'm guessing too at the high school level, there's some ability to choose and everything, but we kind of leave it up to the students to decide what accommodations they want to use for each of the courses, because not every course is equal. So there might be some courses where you feel like I don't really need a note taker because a lot of that is provided, or I'm getting a lot of the information, or you might find that you might not need a textbook on Kurzweil for certain classes. So we really want to encourage students to be independent and making those decisions for themselves and what best fits them. So that's where we very much lean it on the students, and we're definitely there to help them figure out how to make those choices too as well.
Thanks, Andrea. Erica, is there a specific number of students that you can service out of your office each year, or are services available to everybody and no caps?
They're available to anybody. So the Academic Advantage program, we do tend to cap just so that we can have a comfortable student to academic counselor ratio. But in general, we have academic counselors that have around 700 students assigned to them just for the academic counseling and advising purposes.
Excellent, thanks. And Brad, do you have a recommendation when students are looking at the AIM program when they should be filling out the application that you require? Is there a specific time frame that you think works best for your department?
Yeah, actually, if I'm not mistaken, our deadline application says February 1st, but we are still continuing applications. But many of those decisions happen by March 1st. So we let families know. Sorry, my son's coming to say hi too. But we let families know by March 1st, typically, when they can come in for the fall and the summer program. So many of our applicants apply from October 1st to February 1st. But we take rolling applications until our programs are capped out. Typically by March, the beginning of March, our programs are pretty much full for the summer and for the following fall cohort. So the earlier, the better.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And do you require an on-campus interview, or is it just the supplemental application that you mentioned?
Yeah, we have an application, and that with that, we ask for some supporting documentation so that we can compare all the applicants, in a relative way. And then, yes, we do like to have a face-to-face contact as well. So we've obviously been doing lots of those virtually because of COVID. And if folks are traveling from long distance, they're more than welcome to have that as virtual. But we like to have that face-to-face contact to connect with the families and let them see who we are, what we do, and move that forward. So a face-to-face contact, even if it's virtual, is a part of our application process that we like.
Thanks, Brad. And just to clarify, you're talking about typically the February 1st deadline is for admittance into the AIM program starting fall of 2021, not necessarily for the CREATE program, correct? CREATE, somebody
Correct.
was
Yeah, actually,
believing
we try
that.
to set that as both. Yeah, sorry, I lost you a little bit, but yeah, we can continue to receive those applications, absolutely. So I saw the question pop up. You can continue to put those applications in, and we're processing those now. We're averaging about 5 to 7 interviews a week. So those spots are filling up. So I'd get it in sooner than later, but we will consider them as we move forward.
Thanks, Brad. I appreciate that. And Lori, are there specific classes that tutoring services are available for, or would you say that primarily most students are able to get a tutor for any class that they would be seeking additional assistance in?
It's pretty common for most students to be able to get a class, to get a tutor in a class that they're looking for. It just depends. We have sort of our staff of tutors that we keep every semester for intro to psychology, for our kind of, economics, accounting, some of our bigger hit reach courses, American government, biology, chemistry. So some of those 100, 200 level courses that students are going to take, whether it's in their major or not. If you're in a really, intense major that's rather small. So some majors on campus just have a smaller number of students in them, and you're in your third or maybe your senior year of college. Looking for a tutor in some of those specific courses, it can be a little more challenging just because our pool of peers has maybe moved on and are graduated. So we do get a little creative and maybe trying to find a study partner for you, or if we happen to have a grad program, we've been able to match some grad students up with some of our undergrad programs. It's most easily accessible for just our general reach curriculum, those classes you have to take to fulfill your religious studies, your history, your economics, psychology, that sort of thing. But it's pretty common that we could find one. It's a little more challenging, but not impossible. So
no, definitely. And would you always encourage students to also reach out to their faculty? Do you find in your personal experience that faculty at Mercyhurst are really supportive, not only in the classroom, but outside the classroom as well?
I do, Andrea, and I'm actually glad you brought that up, because that is something that we really encourage in our operation of the tutoring center, not only just in academic services and support, but with the tutoring center. Sometimes there can be a delay in getting a tutor for a class if we do need to find a student. And so really reaching out to your faculty is your best bet. They're the expert in the content that they're teaching. And honestly, in my experience, I have not come up against a faculty that has discouraged their student to communicate with them. In fact, they're like, please have them come to our office hours. We can help them and work through some of the problems. So it's a really nice complementary system between the tutoring center and the faculty.
Thanks, Lori. I appreciate that. I'm going to go ahead and give Bella and Doug another question, if you guys don't mind. Bella, what was your favorite class at Mercyhurst thus far?
That's a really good question, because I don't think there's really been one class I've really disliked. I would say I've really enjoyed any of my history classes I've had to take, be it for my major or just for interest. One I definitely found interesting was European history since the Renaissance, which I took last spring because I'm like a history nut, and the one thing that one like branch of history I'm really into is European history. So being able to learn about that so in depth was really cool, in my opinion.
Excellent. And Bella, what has been the most difficult class that you've encountered thus far, and how did you get through it?
I think all of my classes have had their own like level of difficulty in some sense. Like my I took a class also last spring called Institutional Sociopathy that was definitely pretty rigorous, mainly because of how intense its grading system is. Like the highest grade I could have gotten to receive an A to receive an A was a 96. Anything below that would have been B, C, or whatever. But that was definitely a rigorous one. And there was also Intro to Psychology, which was definitely rewarding, but the fact that it was at 8 a.m. really did not sit well with me because I am a night owl, thus I like to sleep in and stay up late. And so as a result, that's the reason why all of my classes this semester are all afternoon or evening classes. So I've learned my lesson from that.
So Bella, this is prime time for you right now. This
Oh,
event,
most
right?
definitely, yes.
Excellent. And Doug, what has been your favorite class thus far at Mercyhurst?
So my favorite class would have to be, so we, before COVID, we had faculty led study abroad trips, and we did one in January of 2020 where we were able to go to the invasion points on Normandy during World War II. So we got to tour, London, got to go to the beaches in Normandy. So right before that trip, we did I did two faculty classes, one about the intelligence preparation going into Normandy, and one about the history of invasions through first-person point of view. And it was amazing, like how we were able to point out all the different places we were going, about oh, by the way, this happened here, and then be there. So that was one of my favorite things that's uniquely Mercyhurst.
And Doug, had you ever been outside of the United States prior to that trip?
Just Canada.
Awesome. And did you feel comfortable going with your fellow students and professors from Mercyhurst?
Oh, it was a blast. We, really tight group. Nice thing about Mercyhurst, you kind of generally know everyone. So, and most people who are doing the Intel program, we're all Intel, so we all kind of know each other. We all help each other out. History, I've got more general, but you get to know them pretty quickly. And the professors were a blast.
Awesome. And do you think that it really enhanced your education at Mercyhurst because you got some of that outside of the classroom experience?
Oh yeah, completely. I mean, the biggest thing I can take away from my time at Mercyhurst is how we're really focused on, exponential learning. We're really, experiencing the learning itself. So hands-on, product-based. So not so much exam-based in my major, but based on, all right, what are you going to give to me through a project? Show me what you can do. And that's the biggest takeaway for me.
Thanks, Doug. And do you have a class that might have been a little bit more difficult than you anticipated it maybe to be, and how did you get through it?
So for me, again, a lot of my struggles are based with speech language. So writing, and then I had to take a foreign language. You can exempt out. I chose to do it because I wanted to challenge myself, try something new. I took French. I relied on my tools. I used my Professor Boudreau was more than willing to meet with me a lot and to help me. They really want to see you succeed. And then the tutoring center. So relying on, tutoring center and relying on, professors, because both are willing to help.
Excellent. Thanks, Doug. And that's something I always like to point out too. I definitely think that Mercyhurst University has resources for all of our students. And I think our faculty often feel that their successes are definitely judged by student successes. But sometimes we don't always know that a student needs help. So definitely I would encourage all of you as you come to campus to make sure that you are self-advocates. Please don't ever be hesitant to stop in the admissions office or use any of my fellow colleagues that you've been introduced to tonight. We are here to go ahead and try to ease that transition as you navigate your college search, begin your college career, and kind of transition through that as well too. We are definitely here to support you through all of those journeys. I know somebody mentioned in the chat whether or not we could go ahead and email this presentation. We most definitely could. If you would like a copy of tonight's presentation, by all means, please feel free to send me an email. My email is agrady2@mercyhurst.edu. I will include that in the chat. I just wanted to let you know that sometimes it does take our marketing department a couple of days to go ahead and put this in a shareable format. So it's not something I'll be able to do at the exact conclusion of tonight's event, but it definitely will be coming in the coming days if you go ahead and send me an email there. Did any of our other prospective students and or family members have any questions? It looks like Logan was wondering what languages we offer on campus. We have French and Spanish, Russian, Mandarin. So there are quite a few unique languages at Mercyhurst as well too. And if you are interested in any of those specific languages, we'd be happy to pass some contact information along as well. Doug, I'm sorry, what language did you say you were studying when you were here?
French.
French, excellent. So you probably took a lot of courses maybe with Dr. Boudreau, who I recently learned is not only very articulate in French, but he's a wonderful singer as well too. So I enjoyed some of his classes I had an opportunity to observe recently because he sang through most of them, which was quite a talent. Jack was wondering if we have ASL. Andrea is shaking her head too, as well as Erica. So we definitely have that available on our campus. Other questions? Brad, could they go ahead and direct the summer create questions to you? Sorry, I know Brad's on a little bit of a delay with his internet. I would direct those inquiries directly to Brad McGarry, and we can go ahead and put his contact information in the chat as well too.
Yes, thank you, Andrea. I was asking which summer program, but definitely if Holly can throw in my email, that we'd be happy to do that. There's also an inquiry form on the AIM website, and folks can put their inquiry in there as well. We can answer any questions from there.
Thanks, Brad. I appreciate that. Does anybody have a question that they'd like to pose, audibly? If not, I'm going to go ahead and ask Erica one. Oh, Josh just brought in another question. Josh is interested in ROTC. Has anyone at AIM ever participated in ROTC that you can think of, Brad? I see a couple people shaking their heads.
Yes. Yeah, not currently, but we've had 5 or 6 students that I can think off the top of my head in the last 10 years or so that have participated. So yes, that is something that we've co-collaborated with.
Excellent. Thanks, Brad. And Josh, if you are interested in speaking with anybody from our Army ROTC department, we are actually hosting a coffee and conversation with them next Wednesday as well, too. And you can go ahead and register for that event on our mercyhurst.edu/visit website, too. So we can put that link in there for you as well. And then Taylor was wondering if anybody wants to talk a little bit on how students can learn to deal with perfectionism in the college setting.
I would love to do that.
Please, Doug, right ahead. Go right ahead.
That's a great question, Taylor. For me, I'm still the wannabe perfectionist at heart. If I see a lot of familiar faces on LD, and they will say yes. But one of the biggest takeaway for me is learning to accept, I know I can do good work. I can do my reviews and do my edits properly. I space out my time, and then, I feel happy because I'm I've done my best. I've, given it my best shot, and, it pays off in the end when you give hard work, determination, and you accept yourself for, who you are.
Thanks, Doug. Great advice.
I'll also answer a couple of questions that I saw in the chat.
Please, Bella.
I know in-person campus tours should be happening soon. They were happening last semester. I know this because I just got accepted to ambassadors. So maybe, I don't know, maybe I'll see some faces from this crowd. Students definitely can join clubs along with AIM. It is actually basically required of us. The one big thing is we have highly recommended to join at least 2 clubs on campus. I'm involved in, as I just said, ambassadors. I'm also involved in our school's history club, which, contrary to its name, you do not have to be a history major, but it is still a great club. I am also involved in the Mercyhurst, which is our school's newspaper. You don't even have to be good at writing. It's a great place for writers and photographers, avid ones alike, to join and get some, and you get paid. So that's pretty awesome. Yes, there is an ASL club. One of my friends is part of it. It is a fairly small club. There is basically a program, or there's basically a club for anything. I know there is a Pokemon Go club. There is a ASL club. There is a medieval enthusiast club. I can't think of the name of it. There's a running club. There's a club for almost every single academic program out there. AIM, I don't know. That AIM question is probably better suited for Brad. I know I plan on being in AIM for all 4 years. Some people start in AIM, then leave AIM. Some people, I guess, maybe start not in AIM and then they become back in AIM. Man, the more I keep talking, the more questions roll in. This is great. Music club. As I said, I was in marching band. I unfortunately no longer am because my life is hectic. But we do have the Mercyhurst athletic band here, and there's also the music program here. I say is very big. I would say, because I'm like a huge chunk of my friends are in the music program, like music major, music therapy, music education, stuff along those lines.
Bella, I can also share Colleen Shaw's contact information. She is the music receptionist and admissions coordinator as well too. So she would be happy to go ahead and talk to Logan a little bit about that as well too. I can definitely share her email address in there. And then Bella, if you don't mind, I'm just also going to echo kind of what you said. We are hoping to eventually be able to offer in-person tours on campus. As you mentioned for Logan, I know that this isn't a perfect substitute for seeing all of you in person, but it is the best that we can do right now. We are closely monitoring the Pennsylvania Department of Health's website and the restrictions that they have related to travel and bringing students to campus outside of Pennsylvania as well too. So as the Pennsylvania Department of Health deems it safe, then we will definitely begin to offer some tours. Until then, we're going to continue to work in this virtual world, which again, I know is difficult, but if you haven't had an opportunity to check out any of our live virtual tours, it does give you a really good sense of everything that we have to offer. We do walk everybody through the different buildings on campus. We do show you the residence halls. We do show you some of our athletic facilities. So again, you have an opportunity to kind of walk around campus. Although it is in a virtual setting, you still are on a tour with one of our student ambassadors like Bella too. Taylor was wondering if there's any access to individual counseling. There most definitely is. And I would say that our counseling offices on campus are some of the most friendly individuals as well too on our campus. So please don't ever hesitate to reach out to them. And if you are looking for a little piece of home, I know a lot of times students on our campus are comforted by pets, and we have Bailey, the therapy dog, on our campus as well too. And Bailey often brings a smile to many of our students' faces. So check that out.
Could I answer? Because I saw a really good one about how to offer students to time management and advisors. So I'm still, active participant in LD, of course, and I meet with my advisor, Nathan Nishinsky, every week. I have been doing that for the past going on 3 years I've been here. And, it's a really great time to just get Nathan's my guy. If I need help organizing, if I got a question when it comes to, my course load, he helps me organize some of my courses. When it comes, I always consult him every single semester. You can really they are your biggest advocates, honestly, on campus. They're there to help you. And, I sit down, get my planner with him, and we'll just, for the 30 minutes I have with him, or, longer, depending on what you're doing, and you sit down with him. I'll write out what I have to do. He'll help me make a plan. He mostly just listens to me at this point, because usually he was in, the driver reins in the beginning, time management. Now, in the program, done this a little while, it's mostly me talking, figuring out. He's like, yep, you got it. And it's a huge help in something where, most students I know from other friends who go to other campuses, that's not an option. So it's a great resource, and I would recommend talking to them.
Thanks, Doug, for sharing your firsthand experience. Much appreciated. Do any of our students on campus ever get to register early?
I know AIM does. AIM gets to register, I believe. AIM and whoever's in the honors program, and I cannot confirm, but Doug could probably answer for me.
I can answer the question.
They fall, I remember, I think the last couple of semesters, I believe we registered the same time as the juniors, but again, you guys can confirm my words, but that was just my experience alone.
So we have students who have an academic accommodation that is priority registration. And so those students who are eligible under that accommodation are our first students to register. Then our seniors are next to register. And then on junior registration, we've got a combination of several student populations that are in what we call our conflict avoidance registration day. So our honors program students, students in the AIM, and some of our in-season athletes all get to register on junior registration if they're not already a senior and registering on senior day.
Thank you, Erica.
And I can just speak. I'm honors program vice president, also on MSG. So if Mercyhurst Student Government, so if anyone has any questions relating to that or honors program, I can help with that too.
Excellent. Doug, would you say that your honors classes have a different feel to them than your courses that are not honors courses?
Oh yeah, definitely. Honors courses, of course, are going to be a little more academic rigorous. So, for example, we have a great theater appreciation class with Dr. Brett Johnson. He's a huge help, very understanding. We also work with him a little bit with a summer pass program because I was a counselor on that. So it'd be more peer mentor. So I can talk my experience in pass too, really hitting all the circles here, all the buttons. But with that, of course, so normally he would just go over like the broadness of this is theater appreciation. But for ours, he was like, okay, we're going to talk about a specific playwright, Tennessee Williams. And effectively, he built his already existing class around it. So, and then we went really in depth. We had to, do a lot of reading, more reading than his normal class. But for someone like me who's a wonk on everything, I fit in perfect.
Excellent. Thanks, Doug. In terms of housing options, I saw a question from Josh. We basically have kind of like a blended meal and housing plan. So sometimes depending on where you are living on campus, you may notice an increased cost. So yes, sometimes there is a different pricing strategy between certain residence halls and on-campus apartments. Any other questions from our prospective students and or families? If not, I'm going to go ahead and pose one last question to Erica because I know that she loves it. What do you enjoy? Oh, Erica, before I hit you with that last question, it looks like Edward has given us one more question in the chat. He's just wondering how often are there social outings and opportunities?
I don't mind answering that one.
Okay, Bella, go right ahead.
So Mercyhurst does have a program called MACSAC, which is Multicultural Activities Council and Student Activities Council. And they hold activities every Friday and Saturday evenings. They've been, of course, lately they've been virtual, but they have also had some in-person things. And there have been often times in which it does take us off of campus. Like one that I did attend is when we went to, I'm forgetting the name of it, but it's the indoor water park. That's really cool. Yeah, yeah, that one. But yeah, that was like November of 2019. So yes, it was freezing cold out, but it was worth it. But yeah, there's been many activities on campus as well. There have been game nights. There have been like food competition things, like a cake decorating thing is what I once did. There have been like little dances, trivia nights, and they've had lots of things. So there definitely are many social outings or opportunities that will be readily available, whether they are in person or virtual, because there are still probably the majority of our students are too far away from home to just be able to readily go there every weekend. So they're able to make that up for us by having these activities for us.
Awesome. Thanks, Bella. I appreciate that. And I definitely would encourage students to get out of their residence hall as many and as frequently as they can, because again, it does really enhance your education at Mercyhurst. And it also allows you an opportunity to meet other students and find outlets outside of just academics on our campus too. Erica, if you don't mind, I'm going to ask you one last question. I'm going to ask you what your piece of advice is for students that have joined us today, kind of still embarking on their college search. And then also, if you don't mind, closing with why do you enjoy Mercyhurst so much?
So, college is a period of growth and experiences. And so it really is your opportunity to seize every opportunity. Get to know who you are, try things that you never imagined trying. It really has the potential to be some of the best years of your life. So take advantage of everything around you. The other big piece of advice I always like to tell students looking to go to college is it's okay to ask for help. We have a lot of great resources on campus. We want to help our students. We want to support and guide and mentor them, but we're not mind readers. We wish we were. And so if you can come forward and, connect with us, I think, Doug and Bella just talked, sometimes they'll just pop on the hallway to say hello. And that makes our day probably just as much as theirs. And so that's what we want. And, it kind of leads to why Mercyhurst is one of my very favorite places. It's the community. Our one slogan is Hurst is home. We don't just say it, we mean it. Our students are part of our family. We feel like we're part of theirs, and they mean a great deal to us. And, you know, I often think sometimes we learn from them probably more than they learn from us. So it's a really great place to be. And I hope that you'll seriously consider Mercyhurst, because we're one of a kind and we want you to be part of our Hearst family.
Thanks so much, Erica. To our prospective students and families that joined us tonight, I hope that you saw how much not only my colleagues, but also Bella and Doug enjoy Mercyhurst University. And as Erica mentioned, we too would love to have you join us. Until we have an opportunity to welcome you back on our campus in person, I would encourage you to continue to join us in this virtual setting. We always enjoy seeing your faces and chatting with you and answering your questions. I hope that everybody has a wonderful night. I appreciate you sticking with us until the end of tonight's presentation. I realize we ran a few minutes long, so thanks again for all of the great questions that you posed tonight. I enjoyed chatting with you. I hope to see you again soon. Carpe diem and have a great night.